Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair Collier and members. My name is Maggie Luna, and I'm here testifying on behalf of Clean Slate Texas. Clean Slate Texas is a coalition of community and advocacy organizations, businesses, and faith leaders, directly impacted people and families dedicated to expanding access to criminal record clearing so that people with arrest records can get housing, employment, education, and more without facing a lifetime of discrimination. I, being someone who has been formerly incarcerated, I know firsthand the frustrations of facing collateral consequences after having paid my debt to society. Most of these barriers do nothing to protect public safety. They only make it more difficult for us to reach our overall level of self-sufficiency and well-being. This ultimately impacts local businesses and our ability to contribute to the economy. Employment barriers for folks with a criminal record. 1 in 3 Texans have an arrest record. These records create obstacles that make it difficult to find gainful employment, secure housing, and support a family. They make it harder to escape the cycle of crime and can be a lifetime burden, extending far beyond any sentence imposed. I work with Texans living with records primarily through 2 groups. Statewide Leadership Council, which is sponsored by Texas Center for Justice and Equity, which is a group of hundreds of formerly incarcerated folks and their loved ones across Texas seeking opportunities and advocating at the state level for criminal justice reforms. I also work with Time Done Texas, sponsored by the Alliance for Safety and Justice. It's a group of over 1,000 Texans living with arrest records seeking economic opportunity to re-enter the workforce. The people that I work with face barriers at every turn. Stigma from the moment of being arrested, having that record created, follows through the completion of a sentence, and then staying with you for the rest of your life. Never able to distance ourselves from that record, no matter how many years have passed. I've faced that stigma, and I continue to carry the record today as I sit here. Job search for someone like me with a record. The stigma, the record strips you of your confidence as you start looking for jobs. It's intimidating to fill out each application, having to check that box, interview, and wait for the background check to be processed. I filled out 144 applications on Indeed in Houston after being released from prison in 2018. 3 times I got to the final phase of hiring only to be rejected. Some folks might work for weeks and be ready to get their first paycheck before they find out that they cannot hold that job with the record and are let go. Most people that I work with are ultimately end up in contract labor positions, so they are not able to access benefits, healthcare, retirement, struggle with employment instability. Texas workforce is missing out on a huge population of directly impacted folks like myself. And when we talk about re-entry, we have to talk about barriers to housing as well. With my background, it is tough for me to find housing. The only housing that was available for me to put my name on it would be a lease, put my name on the lease, ask for a double deposit, and would be in areas that I don't have the same opportunities that I have. I would feel like my sobriety would be put at risk, but I am lucky that I do have someone in my network that has allowed me to have housing that I do need, but it doesn't allow me to build my credit or my equity. It doesn't matter how much I pay my rent on time each month, it will never be working towards anything of my own. But I do have hope. The individuals that I work with give me hope. The people that I work with through the Statewide Leadership Council and Time Done are active in their communities and are dedicated to helping those who come behind us by improving the reentry processes. Having struggled with these barriers, today I am a policy analyst, community outreach coordinator. We have steering committee members that serve as reentry service coordinators. There are peer policy fellows, community advisors, assistant managers, and these are only a few of the jobs of the Texans living with records who are working to make Texas a better place.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Luna. Will you be able to supply that to
Yes.
us, please, so we can have that as part of the permanent record?
Yes.
Okay. Members, are there any questions? Representative Hinojosa.
I'm not sure if you heard the testimony from TDCJ that said they connect inmates with jobs before releasing them and have a 16% unemployment rate. In your work working with people, how long have you been doing this work, by the way?
Since 2020.
Okay. Have you seen an increase in people coming out with employment? And then if so, is there a challenge for future employment from there? Or what are you seeing happening when it comes to work with people being released?
The main challenge that I'm seeing is the records.
But they're not coming out with jobs?
I haven't worked with people who've come directly out with jobs. I'm working with people who are already in the community and working with employment. After last session, there was a lot of improvement I've heard on programming and licensing. And so through the members that I work with, I do hear improvement. I don't have the exact numbers and I don't want to, but what I do see is with the record clearing, it would really help with automating that process for most of our members, expanding that process for our members, and then also expanding eligibility for people to just have the opportunity for that pathway to ask for sealing of our records so we can maintain employment. And housing is really the more people you ask, it's the housing. You know, it doesn't matter if I come up with double deposit, and it doesn't matter what I have. Once they run that record, and I can listen to people say, oh, it's a case-by-case basis. And I have gone into several employment opportunities thinking, well, mine are directly related to drug charges. So case-by-case basis, all you have to do is talk to me, but that's not the case. You know, like, it's not everybody just looks at you and says, okay. You know, so yeah, it is a case-by-case basis, and most of it's how you look.
So, Ms. Luna, following up on Representative Hinojosa, you said housing. You said something about it's hard for you to get it in your own name, so you have to get it in somebody else's name?
Well, I am renting from a private renter.
Okay.
So.
Is it building credit?
No, I don't get to build credit or anything. It doesn't go on my rental history. I mean, I can get a letter of recommendation, but it doesn't build towards equity, towards home ownership, or building that
credit that you need.
Yes.
Okay.
Which would be amazing, is for me to be able to own a home and support my family that way.
So there's no ban the box for housing applications?
Well, exactly. But there is case-by-case basis, and it's always, it's just always depending on who you are.
If someone has a criminal record, do they qualify for Section 8?
Yes, it just depends on what your charge is.
Okay. All right, so that's not a barrier but
No.
That program's so full.
It is, yeah. But it's also, what is your charge and how many times you've been charged? Where do you want to live?
Okay, and so then let me get to these housing, the group homes. I don't know if they call them group homes, but they're not transition homes, but they're homes that somebody owns and they rent them out to formerly incarcerated individuals or
like the Oxford homes?
I don't know. I've never heard of that, so I can't say it. I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, there's
Are those
housing.
sober homes?
Like sober homes, yes.
Okay. No, these are individually owned. These are the house, maybe somebody owns a bunch of houses and they rent them out. They don't actually live there, but somebody else, they're renting their properties out. Maybe they don't necessarily live in California, but they live in Texas, and I just have a bunch of homes. Are those opportunities that are those legitimate or?
Yeah, I think that's probably like what I'm referencing to.
Okay.
I have a private owner who I rent from.
But it's
her property,
okay.
Her, and she rents specifically for people with backgrounds who cannot find other housing.
Okay.
And so, but like I said, it's not in my name, so I can't.
Yeah, how are you going to build it up?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is something else we need to consider. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. All right, any other questions, members? No. Thank you, Ms. Luna.
Thank you. And I'll send you the